Welcome to Annapolis Mosaics. Our program spotlights individuals in our community who are involved in activities designed to promote good human relations. I am Michael Keller, the chair of the Annapolis Human Relations Commission and your host. The commission is a city board that seeks to promote equal opportunity and to eliminate discrimination. My guests today are John Polinsky, who's the executive director of Seeds for Success, and Karen Feldman, who is the director of community partnerships for Seeds. John and Karen, welcome to Annapolis Mosaics.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We're glad to be here.
Okay, well, let's start off by talking about the mission of Seeds for Success. What are you all about?
You want to start with the mission, John?
Sure. We are, well, I'll make sure I get the wording correct,
Right.
Mike. Our mission is, we're involved in guiding youth in Annapolis public and subsidized housing towards healthy, successful futures.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go on from then to find out about when, where, and why you got started.
Okay, we started as Eastport Girls Club was our first program, and we actually grew out of a grassroots program, very grassroots, called Stop the Gunfire, which was a task force that started in 2007. Around that time, there was a large amount of violence in the public housing neighborhoods. And we live in Eastport, and particularly in Eastport because the public housing, Harbor House and Eastport Terrace is right in the neighborhood. Our neighbors were hearing gunshots at all hours. So it actually, started there. The community came together and went to city council, demanded changes in neighborhoods so we would feel safe. And that kind of grew, and during that time, it was not just Eastport that was having that these things were happening, but I believe that year there were like 9 murders in the Annapolis public housing. So at that point, the whole community, the whole city came together and said, we need to make some changes. Reverend Cheryl Menendez had a meeting for churches, community groups, all over the city. It was a large, well-attended meeting, and Reverend Menendez kind of said, everyone here has to partner with a public housing neighborhood. And we were there, I was there with some other people, and we were representing Eastport Civic Association, so it made sense for Eastport Civic Association to adopt, she asked us to adopt a neighborhood. So it made sense for us to adopt the neighborhood that was in Eastport. So that's how we began, and then we had a new police chief, that's when Chief Pristo came on, and things got settled down, but there were a group of us that really wanted to make a difference. I was a former teacher, and there were myself, Helena Hunter, 2 of the co-founders, and we actually, the first time we said, we want to make a difference, we walked down to the community center with cookies and magazines. And that's how we began. We started small, we started kind of in an informal program, then as we realized what the need was, we got a grant from the city, we got some money from ECA, and the next year we formalized our program. Eastport Civic Association, yes. Those were in the city grant where our 2 started us off. We started to formalize the program and tried to respond to the needs and required tutoring. With our first grant money, we hired some part-time professional staff, even though we have about 40 volunteers, but we are led by professional staff. In 2011, we realized we needed our own nonprofit, so that's when we formed Seeds for Success in 2011. And we took the name Seeds for Success because we knew we wanted more than just the Eastport Girls Club program. So we have Eastport Girls Club, I Am a Reader, and Parent Challenge.
Okay, and we're going to talk about all 3 of them.
Okay.
Let's start with the Eastport Girls Club because that's really where you got your start.
Absolutely.
is probably the program that what you're probably most well known. Who are served in the Eastport Girls Club?
Maybe I'll field this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we work with girls aged 5th grade to 8th grade, primarily. And these are girls who live in public and subsidized housing in Eastport. And actually, I should probably say, I'm quite new to the organization. This is my 6th week, I believe, as the first full-time executive director for Seeds. And what really drew me to the organization was the comprehensive nature of the programming. And that really is Eastport Girls Club. Working not just on the academics, but providing role models, mentors for the kids, as well as involving the family. And I think it's that comprehensive nature of the Eastport Girls Club that really appealed to me.
Mm-hmm. What's the goal of the Eastport Girls Club? What are your goals?
Well, our overarching goal is for our girls to graduate from high school and go on to college. Mm-hmm. That is our overarching, it's not technically part of our mission statement, but it is certainly our goal. We haven't gotten there yet because we haven't been around long enough. Mm-hmm. Our oldest girls are now in 10th grade. Mm-hmm. So we follow them. Ideally, we like to start the girls in 5th grade and then help them through that transition from 5th grade to middle school, which is always a tricky transition. And we have individualized tutoring. Tutoring is required, and each girl has a mentor. And before anyone is accepted into our program, our staff does home visits. Mm-hmm. So we require the cooperation and attendance and specific things from the parents of all our participants. Okay.
Could you tell us a little bit about what that individual mentoring programs are like? What do they constitute?
The individual mentoring is, again, they're all volunteer. They are trained and given guidance by our part-time mentor coordinator, Christy DeCamera. So she interviews everybody before all our volunteers are interviewed. All our volunteers have to have a background check, of course. And, the relationship is individual depending on the mentor and the girl. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they, may we meet weekly. Some of our mentors take the girls to the movies or, to do fun stuff, but the mentors also support the tutors. The tutors work specifically with the academics. The mentors support that because academic achievement is also our main goal.
I think Christy especially does a great job with the initial matching of the mentors, and really making sure that that the mentors are going to match well with the girls in terms of interests and the skills that we're trying to build with these young women. Being able to support that. Like Karen said, it's got to be fun for the mentoring aspect first before you can start doing the skills building. It's got to be fun, and we think what we try to provide are really well-trained and well-supported mentors who are going to be able to not just talk about changes in these kids' lives, but model them and hopefully provide good examples for these youth.
Now you offer weekly after-school.
Yes, the heart of our program is weekly tutoring.
Let's hear about that. Let's get some details about it.
That takes place in the Eastport Community Center. We've been very fortunate to have a wonderful relationship with the Housing Authority of Annapolis, and we meet in a room in the Eastport Community Center. So that is our meeting place. We call it the Zone. It's a room we after the first year we painted, and so that's our meeting place. The girls come after school. A lot of our girls live right in Eastport, but some of them live in Newtown and Robinwood, so some get there themselves. Some of our volunteers pick them up to bring the girls after school. So we have an hour and then there are tutors meet them there. And again, our tutors are trained by our education director. Our tutors, all our girls have it's required for the parents to sign permission. So Valerie, our education director, has access to the girls' grades, to the girls' records. She's in weekly communication with the teachers. We know if there's a test coming up, if there's a test they did poorly on, if there's homework they haven't turned in. So the tutor, it's very, very individualized. Each tutor walks in and finds a binder with what her tutee needs to work on that week. we've also, initially our emphasis was on reading because we found initially that most of our girls were reading below grade level. But after a couple years, the girls, pretty much all our girls, I believe, are reading on grade level, but then we realized they need help in particularly math and science. So our tutors help with science projects. The tutors bring in the boards for the science projects and whatever subject the girls are having trouble in. If they're doing fine in reading, but they need help in social studies or they have a social studies project coming up, the tutors will work specifically on that.
You also have field trips you take them on,
We do
too.
have field trips, yes.
What kind of field trips do you take them on?
We do.
Where do you go?
I was gonna say. One of my first acts as executive director was
that's
to
right.
attend the field trip to the American History Museum.
Okay.
And I even was able to bring my fiance along. We really enjoyed walking around the museum with kids, and our education director had prepared a bit of a scavenger hunt to try to make sure they're together reading a book this summer, and to try to make sure that we attended each of the exhibits and learned a clue at each of the exhibits about that pertained to the book we were reading. Yeah. It was really, really interesting and fun.
And you also have family night activities, too.
Yes, and that, probably as I said already, that really drew me to the program. I had previously worked with youth in foster care on a mentoring program, and realized doing that work that the youth is going to spend the majority of his time with his family, his or her family, and if you don't involve that family in the programming and stay in touch with that family, it's really going to limit the amount of impact you're able to make with that kid. So I was really drawn to that, and I think maybe I should let Karen talk about the programming with the parents.
Yeah, the family nights are a big part of our program, and as I said, we require parents to be involved from the beginning, so they know that parent meetings they're about every 6 weeks or so, and we provide dinner. There's parent challenges as part of that the parents are given a list of activities or things that they should work on to reinforce bedtimes, reinforce study time, reinforce following directions, and also the parents are required to check their girls' homework, make sure the homework is turned in, go to parent conferences. We've had many of our parents go to parent conferences for the very first time because we've supported them through that and talked about how important that is. So that's a big part of our program, and it's made a difference. It's definitely made a difference.
Okay. Well, another major component of the programming you have is the I Am a Reader program. Tell us about that. How does that fit in?
The I Am a Reader program is a very focused intervention with first graders to try to make sure that they're up to grade level by third grade. And really run by our education director. Saw the need with what literature tells us now is that if a youth is behind in reading by third grade, that's going to set him or her back in a huge way that's going to be very difficult to catch up on. So I think we identified that need in our population and are specifically working with boys in first grade to try to provide those tutors, do that tutoring. Again, that's a weekly program, and make that intervention grades first and second, and so by third grade they're at grade level.
Right. Okay, we're going to take a break now. When we return, I'll be speaking with John and Karen about some more of the activities and services of the Seeds for Success, as well as giving them an opportunity to look a little bit into the future of where they'd like to see the organization go.
Hi, I'm Annapolis Mayor Josh Cohen, and I want to tell you about a new free way for you to enjoy downtown Annapolis. Our unique shops, our dining, our entertainment, and our historic maritime charm.
Did you know that Annapolis has a new circulator trolley that will shuttle you free from one end of the central business district to the other? Well, after parking at Knighton or Park Place Garage for just $5 a day, you can get on the circulator by simply raising your hand anywhere along the route and see what downtown Annapolis has to offer. For more information, go to annapolis.gov and click on Circulator.
We're talking today with John Polinsky, who is the Executive Director of Seeds for Success, and Karen Feldman, who's the Director of Community Partnerships with the organization. One of the programs which you also mentioned that is part of, I think, the major trio of what you offer is the Parental Challenge. What does the Parental Challenge offer?
That is, it's an incentive-based but required program, part of our, we just right now, Parent Challenges for our Eastport Girls Club girls.
Okay.
And with the regular meetings, and the parents are given a list of things that they need to, you know, track and be responsible for in the next 6 weeks. And then they come back and we have, if they have completed all the tasks, both the girls and the parents, then they can earn gift cards.
And I would say, and these tasks are designed by our staff to sort of support the parents around being as supportive of their kids' educations as possible. So it's I think it's really productive stuff.
From the conversation which you have extended earlier, it sounds to me as though Seeds for Success does track the quality and outcomes of the services that it provides us. You're nodding affirmatively to that. What have you learned from those assessments?
I think potentially, I'll go. I think potentially one of the biggest things we've learned is that with the right intervention, these kids can succeed. They absolutely can succeed, but it can't be a small thing that happens occasionally. It needs to be each week, and it needs to be supported at home as well as at our tutoring sessions.
We're still compiling this year's results, but last year all of our girls were proficient in reading, which we know is huge because there is so much attention being paid to the achievement gap right now. So that's one of the reasons that we focus not just on reading but on math and science. Last year, over 50% of our girls were on the honor roll, and their grade point average has increased every year. So we're still compiling this school year's results, so we don't have them officially now, but what we've seen so far looks good, and we do believe in measurable results, so we track those things very carefully.
Absolutely, and I was just going to mention, for this year's MSA scores that we have received, we're looking at 80% of our youth being proficient in math, and that's particularly at the 8th grade level. That's where we're noticing a huge gap between African American youth and white youth, and so we know that our intervention there is really important.
So that gap is narrowing.
It's narrowing for us.
For us,
unfortunately, there was an article in the Capitol, I believe, last week, showing that it was actually widening for the greater population of students. But for our students, I look forward to having the full results, but currently we're showing great progress.
Well, that's very encouraging. And I think it really shows the impact that your program is making, because obviously not all of the students who attend the public schools get that intensive intervention that you are providing through the Girls Club, or for that matter, I Am a Reader. And so I think what you're seeing there is the impact of the extra intervention. So I think that's very important for our viewers to hear that, because here's a private organization which is going beyond what students ordinarily get in the classroom, and it's having demonstrable effects on their proficiency and on their development. So I think it's very important.
Well, but another thing to add to that, because our volunteer tutors are just wonderful, and because some of our girls are, particularly the math and science can be a struggle. So while we have focused once a week required, many of our tutors meet with their girls 2 or 3 times a week, particularly if they have a project coming up, if they have a test coming up. So they'll, on their own, pick up their girl after school and go to the library or we're kind of the whatever it takes mode.
Now, the I'm a Reader program, though, that's both boys and girls. Is that correct, or is this girls?
Currently just boys, actually.
Oh, just boys?
Just boys.
Just boys, okay, all right.
Just boys.
Okay, right. Any reason for that? Is it just because you wanted something other than just an overlap with the Eastport Girls Club?
Yeah, we just started that last year. So we're just going into our second year of the I Am a Reader program. So, with limited resources and doing what we could, we just decided to focus on boys and specifically on the reading because of, as John mentioned before, we know it's important to close that, for them to read on grade level as quickly as possible. Each boy has an individual male tutor. So again, it's an individualized program working under the direction of Valerie, our education director.
And you're going to continue to, and you're going to be monitoring the performance of these students as well, so that you're able to look at the same kind of statistical information that you have for the Eastport Girls Club, and be able to monitor whether or not there's an improvement, which, once again, one can be optimistic and say that there could very well be. I think it's important to be able to continue to demonstrate that. Well, in line with that, Seeds for Success has received numerous recognitions and awards for its work. Tell us about that.
We have received awards. I think you have our list of our awards there, John, and
well, let's hear about them.
Yes, it's not remembering off the top of my head.
Right, and they all precede me, so I feel like I should take no credit for this. We've received 0 awards in the last 5 weeks, but prior to that, we received
the Martha Wood Award, and
what's
that is given by the Housing Authority of Annapolis.
Okay.
So they give that to a community group that makes a difference monthly.
Okay.
And
Donald Schaefer.
Yes, the Williams. Thank you for reminding me that the William Donald Schaefer Award we just received in May for this year. We also received an award from the Maryland Housing Authority. I think that's the right word. The Maryland Housing Authority received an award from them. And the Volunteer Center, we received a Mentoring of the Year award from the Volunteer Center.
Okay, well, that's excellent.
I think that's all.
That's excellent. Seeds for Success also works with works in a partnership with a number of other community organizations. Who are these organizations, and what role do they play vis-a-vis Seeds for Success?
Well, there is one of the outgrowths of the whole community coming together is a use of the Eastport Community Center by our tutors and by other community groups that weren't using it before. So there's a monthly family dinner, and the partnership is between Eastport Community Center, Eastport United Methodist Church, Mount Zion Methodist Church, St. Luke's Episcopal Church, and the Unitarian Church. And they provide monthly dinners, family nights, and it's been wonderful. They do a different thing each month. Sometimes they just play games after dinner or have music, and they'll celebrate the holidays. So that happens, I think, the last Thursday of every month at the Eastport Community Center. And we've also been very fortunate to have community partners from businesses donating food, which we always need, and support both in monetary support and donations from many businesses. So we're very grateful for that.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier that that the bulk of your work is done by volunteers. I mean, you now have paid professional staff on board, but still the vast majority of the organization consists of volunteers. What role do the volunteers play? What are the special needs of the volunteers? What are your needs for volunteers? What are their needs?
I think the most important volunteers I would want to call out right away are our mentors and tutors. And that's probably the biggest time commitment that potential volunteers could make with us, is to either be a tutor to one of our girls or one of the boys, or to be a mentor to one of our girls. Beyond that, though, we do have other volunteer needs, and we provide a lot of food at our programming. I mean, it's so important for kids to feel well-fed, well-nourished in a healthy way, we hope, at the beginning of each of our sessions, so as to be able to learn. So we have a lot of community partners who in the past have provided food for those programming events and food for special family dinners. That's food volunteers, and also we do a lot of screening for transportation volunteers. maybe I should actually let
Yes.
Karen talk about that.
Yes, for people that don't have, because for a tutor you have to be available at a certain time each week, and a mentor can be a big time commitment as well. But for people that want to help but don't have a dedicated time, we have a transportation team. And this is both to get our girls to and from our regular girls club sessions, but it's also for things. We have a wonderful partnership with Maryland Hall, where many of our girls have taken dance classes. They've given us scholarships, so our girls have taken dance and art classes at Maryland Hall, but they don't have the transportation to get there. So we have a need for volunteers if you want to help take our girls from their neighborhood to Maryland Hall for a class, pick them up, and we actually have a part-time transportation coordinator. So if you contact her, and all this information is on our website, at s4sannapolis.org, she will, again, have to go through a background check, of course, but then she will, for instance, send you an email and say, can you take Susie on Wednesday at 7 o'clock? And then you can say, yes, I can, or no, I can't. So for people that just want to help and don't have, a huge amount of time, that's a great need, because the transportation, one of our goals is to get our girls out in the community and participating in other activities. We've had great luck with that. We had two new girls are accepted in the Bates Performing Visual Arts program. So, and we have one of our girls who's going into a second year of that. So, but when they have, after school, nighttime lessons, practices, most of our families do not have transportation. As we know, transportation is a huge, need issue in the city.
Yeah. Looking ahead 5 years, where would you like to see Seeds for Success be? What's your vision for growth?
Okay, I start with the short-term vision. My very short-term vision, first of all, is to try to help professionalize and formalize this organization without losing the grassroots energy. I mean, as you could probably see with Karen, and if you met our other volunteers, these folks have done it from the ground up. And we don't want to lose that passion, but we need to formalize some of the procedures. So if we can do that, make ourselves a really sustainable organization, then it's time for growth. And then we want to be serving more kids across Annapolis. So I should not put a number on it, but we'd like to serve. We believe we have a model that works and can be effective for getting these kids to healthy, successful futures. We'd like to serve more kids, but in order to do that, we need to become sustainable and then grow.
Okay. I am certain that many of our viewers are going to want to learn more about Seeds for Success. How can they get in contact with you?
On our website, s4sannapolis.org.
Can you repeat that again?
Yes, s4sannapolis.org. And I think actually if you just Google Seeds for Success Annapolis, you will find our website. And there is information on there on how to contact us, specific volunteer opportunities, the email, phone numbers of our transportation coordinators on there, our counselor, so that is that's the best way. All our contact, our phone, everything is on our website. So we also have a Facebook page for people who like to follow our activities on Facebook that I try to keep updated with pictures and activities that the girls are doing, because we do lots of things. So it is always nice to see the pictures of the kids doing, many of the activities we do. We start the year by taking them to a challenge, like a rope course challenge type activity for team bonding in the beginning of the year. So.
Thank you for viewing our program today, and please join us again on Annapolis Mosaics. If you would like more information about the Annapolis Human Relations Commission, please jot down the information on your screen. You can reach us at 410-263-7998 or by email at hrcommission@annapolis.gov. Or you can check out our page at the City of Annapolis website. Go to www.annapolis.gov, click on City Government at the home page, then Boards and Commissions, and you can scroll down to the Human Relations Commission page. And always remember the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, We have flown the air like birds and swum the seas like fishes, but have yet to learn the simple act of walking the earth as brothers and sisters. Thank you. Very, very good. Very, very.